Sorry.
Cheers. That's a good.
Yeah, it's just a year. It was just fiction. It was been about 30 years. Okay, let's get the bit, meeting started and, we're ready to begin. I'm gonna call the order, yeah. Thank you for attending the downtown advisory board meeting on July 23rd, 2026. First, we'll do a roll call. Let's see, her son, Scott Hosmer. Absent. Christina Benson. Lori McManus.
Here.
Angie Oven. Here. Ernesto Toscovich.
Here.
Abigail Whalen. Here. Eddie Zappian. Not here, yeah. Okay, and then, on a note to that, Alan and Kiana have resigned. So those positions are open if you have anyone interested in current, one's a resident and one's an institution within the downtown. Okay. And the first thing we need to do is the approval of the agenda. Okay, any comments? All right, then let's go ahead for the approval. Oh, yeah. All, what do I have to say? Oh, yeah, all in favor, that's right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anything, anyone opposed? Thank you you're ready for January, aren't you? I'm ready for you to do it. The approval of, we need to approve the May 28th meeting minutes. Move to approve.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and now we move to our public comment. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to make a comment? Yes, hello, and go ahead and introduce yourself.
I work better just off of pre-writing, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it as naturally as I can. Good afternoon, my name is Dan Dickinson. I'm a local business owner here in Salem. I'm autistic. I have advised for the Salem Human Rights Commission and the Salem Disability Rights Task Force. I'm here to introduce a project called Nest. It's a neurodiverse inclusion hub built for autistic and neurodivergent adults and their families in the Salem community. It's not a charity, it's infrastructure. The same way a parking garage or streetscape is infrastructure. I have 20 years in corporate experience building neurodivergent inclusion practices and training programs. I've taken that experience and built a model I want to bring to downtown Salem. It's a space designed to be the gold standard of neurodivergent inclusion. And what benefits neurodivergent people will benefit the community in general. We ran a 2-day pop-up in Salem Center Mall that tested this model. It drew a strong turnout with 100% positive survey results. Comparable models already exist and work. Mesa, Arizona is a certified autism city. It has actually increased their visitorship as well as vacation periods have increased in visitation. Nicket Mall in Massachusetts and Palisade Center in New York both run permanent inclusion spaces inside working malls. Airports, zoos, museums across the country have adopted similar practices and all report positive feedback. I'd like to schedule time with the Urban Development Group to talk further about a more inclusive Salem looks like and how the city can back this project. I'm not asking for the city to build a new project. I'm asking to back a project I've already built. To be able to bring that backing to the table when I sit down with Salem Center. I'm kind of adding into that. I have been working Salem Center for about a year now. And one of the biggest things is finding backing, grants, and so forth in order to get the project on the way. I have noticed within the city, even with like downtown, with East Salem Park, we have redesigned it to where it is more diversity inclusive, it is more disability inclusive, and including neurodivergent with fenced areas, so forth. So we are implementing that throughout the city. It's just very compartmentalized of where we are implementing that. I want to implement it here in the cities where people can actually feel welcome to come to meetings like this, go to the mall, shop, and actually participate in general society rather than just being at. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, do we have questions?
Can you have a tiny minute? It's
Okay.
here to comment, but if you have questions.
Well, yeah, we'll get your information and email you.
Okay.
Because I have lots of questions because I'm not knowledgeable about the subject at all, so. So if you can, you know, make sure we have your email.
It's in your packet.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's just, yeah,
Okay,
in the
okay,
fourth
great.
page in the packet.
Okay.
Are you looking for funding or
What's that?
you said support? Are you looking for funding? or what?
So a couple different things. One, funding, but two, looking for support and help surveying, knowing what infrastructures are currently in place. To, in essence, encourage the mall. Because the mall is struggling to have tenants right now. They have several open units that we have proposed to come in and renovate and expand. One of the things in that would be including an ADA bathroom. So that would have funding for that and so forth through grants. There are certain things that would, but I would be asking for funding. But then others just asking for general support. If the city supports the concept in general, to encourage the business owners to adopt it. There are some countries right now that are requiring neurodivergent training of businesses, just like we require ADA training. And within those, businesses are becoming more inclusive to the general population.
Thank you.
Questions?
Thanks.
Okay, so the action items, are we canceling the August 27th meeting for summer break or are we having the meeting?
The group, there wasn't a call last time, so it's pulled in today, but it's in the summer, getting into every day, so it's just an option. I'll be on.
It will be tough on my.
So someone like to move to cancel that?
Second.
Advisory.
Okay, so. It's like we're canceling the meeting. We still have to say everyone, okay, yes. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Oh, I'm opposed because I love the meeting. No. Why is a sick person? Okay, so then the next item, we can move on now, actually. The information reports, and so we have Bloomberg Harvard collaborative study we're gonna learn about.
Yeah, it's okay if we start with you. Don's running late,
No.
just come in. So we'll have you go after our first
It's
presentation.
fine.
Okay.
If
Oh,
they
we're not gonna finish it.
urgency.
No, there's no urgency. I don't think for you guys, is there urgency? You wanna go first since you're up? I have the presentation. I can put it up. Same one you gave.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Before, I guess, maybe this is your time.
Well,
Okay. Switch that.
Welcome, ODOT. So in that case, we're doing the street bridge seismic retrofit. The information on that. How it's gonna affect us.
so yeah, thank you for Peter, apologize for being late, I had a meeting a little long and you guys might know about it, but I got caught up in some traffic by the Capitol there. There's a little bit of construction going on there as well. So I'm Andrew, I'm the ODOT project manager for this project, I've been managing it through design. I'll be involved somewhat in construction as well, and I'm joined by Jared, who is our consultant project manager, so for design on this project, we outsource the design to Dow for the bridge. what I'll talk about today is just kind of a high level overview of the project, how it came about, why we're doing it, what the project entails, some of the phasing considerations, talk about the project schedule, some of the impacts from the project, specifically what the construction schedule will be when you'll see some of those impacts, and then what most people are interested in, which would be the traffic impacts, and then a little bit about phase 2, and I'll talk more about that. I have some time for questions at the end. So phase 1 is the light blue, kind of on the right of your screen there, which incorporates the river spans as well as a couple of the ramps on the east side of the bridge. And phase 2 is the darker blue on the left side of your screen there. One of the primary reasons we ended up phasing this project, which just means we'll build phase 1 first and then we'll do phase 2 after that, is because of some of the soil conditions we discovered on the right side of the bridge. Phase 2 area. The soil was discovered to be liquefiable, which just means during an earthquake, the soil acts more like a liquid, which makes it a little more difficult to deal with traditional seismic retrofit solutions. What will likely to be there is quite a bit more extensive than just means we have to build larger foundations to go down to solid ground. Next. So one thing you'll see in phase 1 is the replacing of the bridge pier just on the shore of the west bank. And that kind of is indicative of what you might see in a phase 2 project when we finish design on that. Really what we're going to do is replace the entire foundation with 2 large drilled shafts that replace the constant. So we're going to transfer the bridge onto a new foundation. Next. In the river, you're going to see enlarging the foundations. You actually won't see this, so I'll be underground. This is what we will do. We'll enlarge the foundations, we'll put new piles in, we'll put new anchors in, and we'll do that all using copper, which I'll talk about in a bit. Next. On the east side, we'll do a lot of the same thing that I just mentioned, enlarging foundations, adding additional steel piles, additional anchors. We'll do a lot of strengthening of other members as well. That's the pier wall, which is just like shear walls that are put in between existing foundations. And then one cool thing that we did incorporate in conjunction with City of Salem is seismically retrofitting, actually just replacing the water line that's on the bridge. So West Salem currently has 3 water lines that serve it, none of which are seismically resilient. So as part of phase 1, we'll replace this 24-inch water line that's on the bridge now with a 36-inch water line that will be seismically resilient. And phase 1 will encompass all of the water line that's on the bridge. So when we're done with phase 1, the connection to West Salem will be seismically resilient with respect to what's on the bridge. The other sections of the water line can't speak to that. Next. So this is our project schedule as of now. Obviously, it comes with an asterisk that schedules are always in flux. There's things that come up. For example, a couple of things that have come up on this particular project would be the federal shutdowns that has had a pretty significant impact on our schedule. One agency that we need to work with, the federal agency would be the U.S. Coast Guard. Anytime we work inside of a navigable waterway, we need Coast Guard approval, and they've been shut down twice recently, which has pretty significant impacts on our schedule. That said, we expect to bid the project in September, or open bids in September, advertise next month, and start construction into this year. Some of the things you can expect to see would be a work bridge and cofferdam. So when I was talking about enlarging those footings, one thing we need to do is build a barrier to separate the river from our construction work. We'll dewater the area inside of those cofferdams. Cofferdams are just kind of like walls that go around things to protect it from water getting in. So we'll build the cofferdams, maybe sheet piles, probably take the water out. We'll do the foundation work, get the cofferdams out, restore it back to pump west. You'll see work bridge. So anytime we work in the river, we're going to need access to that. So if you guys are familiar with Abernathy, it actually will look pretty similar to that. Abernathy has a work bridge and cofferdams as well. One thing you'll also see is us developing the work area on either side of the bridge. One of the unfortunate side effects of working on a bridge is you have to be around the bridge. There's parks on either side that will have to remove some trees and build kind of a work area for the contractor to be working in. I will say it is a short-term problem, I would say, but a long-term benefit to the city. we'll be restoring these areas better than they were. So we'll be redoing any of the areas that we touched, any of the parking lots that we touched, and we'll be replanting all of the trees that we had to remove. With trees that are probably more appropriate for the area, in line with the city's long-term. Another thing you'll see, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later, is some traffic impacts. So there'll be a couple of weekends where we have to close the bridge at night. And then there'll be a few months where we have to close 2 lanes, 2 of the 4 lanes. So when we're working on the south side of the bridge, we're gonna close the 2 south lanes, and we're working on the north side of the bridge, we're gonna close the 2 north lanes. And that's only for the work that will be really on top of the bridge. For most of the project, which is about 4 years or so, we won't have those impacts on the traffic on the bridge itself. We have done all we can to reduce those impacts, encouraging the contractor to do 24/7 work, encouraging the contractor to utilize additional crews and any sort of innovative construction methodology to reduce that impact, but there's just a couple of places where we can't do the work without impact. Most of that's gonna be around the joints on the bridge where we can place the joints. When there's a big hole in the deck, it's hard to have traffic go over. Next. There'll be some ramp closures associated with that. So if we have the lanes closed, we'll have the ramps closed as well as some of the work. Thanks. So when can you expect most of this work? 2027, you're gonna see a lot of the water line work happening leading up to the bridge. So in order to work on the bridge, we need to relocate and replace some of the water line that goes up to the bridge. You're gonna see a lot of the temporary construction occurring during that time. So construction of copper dams, construction of work bridges, preparing the work area around the bridge. You're gonna see a lot of that going on. In 2028, you're gonna see a lot of that construction on the east side. And really throughout the entire construction season, you're gonna see work going on in the water. So critical path for the contractor will likely be the in-water work. There's only certain periods of the year that the contractor is allowed to work in the water, which is essentially the summer months. And so those are gonna be critical time periods for him. So the contractor is gonna be consistently pushing in-water work throughout construction. But in 2028, you will see a lot of that east side. 2029, you're gonna continue to see some of that east side work. You're gonna see that in water work continuing, and then you're gonna also see the water line as well being worked on. 2030, we're gonna finish the pier retrofits. We're gonna finish that east side work. We're gonna remove our work bridge, basically pulling out. And in 2031, we're gonna be cleaning up a lot of the mess we've made and getting out of the way. Thanks. And I'll pass it off to Jared to talk a little bit about some of the specific traffic.
Yep, so 4-year project, but I think the traffic impacts are really gonna probably be most impactful for about 6 months. If you click one more time there, I talk more in depth about kind of the first 3 rows of that table. So go to the next slide. So, as Andrew mentioned, when we're replacing the joints, there's gonna be a large hole in the deck, kind of at the edge of the river. And so we're gonna close 2 lanes on the river span. So what that means is 1 lane coming from Wallace, and then the main lane coming from Dallas on the coast. And then also the southbound ramp. We're hoping we're conservative, messaging up to 3 months. We have tighter restrictions, hopefully on the contractor, but try and message worst case and overperform. There will be some methods to let emergency services kind of skip the queue during these periods where possible to keep those times as quick as they can be. Slide. Once we do one side, and obviously we don't know which one they'll pick to do first, but they will pretty much immediately flip to the other side of the bridge. So now the northbound bypass lane coming from the coast will be closed, and then again, 1 lane from Wallace, and then the northbound ramp to go to Front Street will be closed for up to 3 months. So there'll be work going on, on that side of the bridge. There'll be some deck work on the east side, some deck overlay work, and then kind of drilling down through the deck to strengthen the connections. So we don't have any ramps closed at the same time. Traffic will be along the local streets. Oregon 99, these have been used before. We confirmed large trucks can make the turns along these routes. So Andrew mentioned some full closures, so up to 4 nights, there will be weekend nighttime full closure, these will be separate nights. And that's to replace the joints, so we're gonna during the 2-lane closures, we're gonna do a lot of pre-work and then kind of put a dummy piece in. And then to do the full joint replacement, which is the full width, we have to close the bridge for a night, so that's up to 4 nights from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. And then we have some short 20-minute full closures, so basically we'll net traffic down and hold them with a flagger for 20 minutes and then release traffic. We have to jack up the bridge to transfer it onto the new bed and do some other work. And so that's what those are for. The officially signed detour will be to Corvallis on state routes. We have some there's other routes to the north and local routes that folks may take. And I guess with the 2-lane closures and these closures, the contractor is required to give 35 days notice. So ODOT will start blasting out emails and social media to alert the public. You know, letting them know these are coming up so they can adjust if possible.
I had a question on that one.
Yep.
Just as the detours, have you guys considered, you said some alternate local routes?
Yep.
I just see River Road, Salem, myself, being
Yep.
significantly impacted by this. Do you guys have any strategies to help with that, the traffic, or just the wear and tear on the roads that's gonna happen?
I mean, we've been communicating with City of Independence and Marion County. I think they're gonna increase signage. I'm not sure there's anything we can do to like deter people from using River Road.
It's just gonna turn into a major highway with like families and people crossing the streets there, it's just gonna get crazy.
Yeah, so we had, last week or the week before, I met with the City of Independence City Council, talked with them. We had some coordination before that already. A lot of the coordination is gonna happen during construction when actually all these impacts on it. Like I said at the beginning, with our construction schedule, it comes with asterisks. The contractor will look at our schedule, which we believe is reasonable, and they'll have their own flavor of how they wanna approach the construction. And so when that occurs, and how we think that'll occur, would be the ideal time for coordinating how we would coordinate with city independence. As far as River Road and crossing the bridge there, we're gonna discourage traffic as much as possible, specifically large trucks. Anyone that's crossed there knows there's a lot of low points where trucks get stuck. Probably on a monthly basis, we get trucks stuck there, even though we already have signs, we'll add additional signs there to discourage trucks from going there. As far as individual passenger vehicles, they're likely to use that even if we discourage it. As it's not one of our routes, we wouldn't have it as an official detour. Like I said, we will be encouraging to go through Corvallis. There's a number of things that we could coordinate with the contractor and City of Independence to improve safety once we get there. We have some ideas. I don't want to say which ones we could implement yet because we haven't finalized those with City of Independence. But there are some ideas we have to address those real safety concerns and traffic congestion concerns. I would be disingenuous if I said that any of our solutions are going to alleviate congestion. There's congestion issues today, and they're going to continue with construction.
What about for an emergency like ambulance?
Yeah, so during the full closure, there's actually gonna be a lane on Marion Street blocked off, so they'll go the opposite direction on the Marion Street Bridge. With signs, we also met with the Willamette Valley Communications Center a few times, so we have kind of a radio protocol during construction. I think they do, what was it, 20 or 30 different agencies that dispatch.
We do most of the ones that are around here.
So they'll be able to alert the contractor, that they have somebody coming through that needs to get through, but there will be a lane on Marion Street specifically for emergency services.
I'm curious, what would you use Marion Bridge for detour, so make it go both ways?
So this is for nighttime only construction, so we're looking at maybe 6 hours. I think we estimated it would take like 3 or 4 hours alone just to set up because you have to turn off signals, have flaggers, it's a pretty big operation for a night.
So closer will be only doing.
Yes.
Well, hold on, so for full closure will only be at night.
Right, okay.
When we have partial closure, which would just be a couple of lanes, 1 or 2 lanes, that'll be during the day, that'll be 20%.
Okay, so people will be still able.
Yeah, we, and
I thought they were 20-minute. Sure.
yeah, the rolling slow down ones, yeah,
Those are at night as well.
Oh, they are.
yeah.
How about that bridge, the old railroad bridge?
Yeah, we looked at that one, we looked at having full-time two-way traffic on Marion as well.
Mhm.
Our analysis indicated that neither option would benefit traffic, because our closures, even 3 months, it sounds like a long time, is a pretty short period of time for traffic to
Yeah.
readjust. And so if we did all the barriers and all the work it would take to move traffic onto any of these structures, well, it's not even the amount of work, it's that you're gonna cause more impact from that
Yeah.
than you would from just biting the bullet and doing 3 months.
Well, you're also would be reducing capacity going on Marion Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
This way, we're impacting one direction, it's not gonna be pleasant for those moments, but otherwise you'd be impacting both directions for.
It's a good question, that's why we looked at it.
Just kind of into that with the partial impact. For emergency services, would they still have the option of using Marion to go the opposite direction? Or would they be impacted by a 2-lane during rush hour?
We will not have that lane blocked off during the 2 lane.
So emergency services would be delayed getting from West Salem to the hospital during those 4 days.
No, and it'd be 6 months, we'll have 2 lanes closure, which will have traffic impacts. No, so we have a bypass plan for them, so they'll still use Center Bridge, but they'll be able to bypass traffic. For portions of it, they'll use the shoulder, for portions of it, they'll use a ramp closure that we have, will allow them to use the construction area. And once they get on the bridge, traffic should be flowing quite a bit better, because it's really the bottleneck up to the bridge, right? Once you get to the other side, you kind of a traffic issue with these today.
It will be good to have a bike these days.
Yeah.
You can just bike over that
There
bridge.
you go, it's.
It's healthy.
We're encouraging, multimodal transportation. No, finish here.
Next slide. Oh, there you go. Some other, I guess, traffic impacts we didn't talk about. So it'll be a single lane closure on Center Street. When we're constructing the new foundation below, there's gonna have large cranes and materials and equipment. And so for safety to get cars away and also try and reduce people slowing down and breaking their neck to see what's going on. Then the other ramp closures from Front Street to Marion Street. There's 2 reasons we will need to close the Marion Street ramp. One is to do some of the water line relocation on Front Street, probably that first year of construction. And then second, one of the bridge vents is, within a couple feet of the ramp, and so we did close it to get down to the footing and do the seismic retrofit work. Northbound Front Street, again, we have lane closures, I don't think it'll be full closure, but there's a pier right in the middle between Front Street, so we need to close it to do some of that retrofit work, and then we'll have 2 nights where southbound Front Street is closed entirely, and that is for water line relocation work. Slide. This is just a QR code to the project website. ODOT, I think, has been blasting out the transportation options survey for a couple weeks now. So you can scan this to get the project updates if you're not already signed up for updates in your area. And then I think the next slide has all of Andrew's contact information.
I think there's one more after that.
Is there one more? Oh, phase 2.
Yep.
All right, next slide. Andrew mentioned phase 2, so the soils were really bad on the west side. Additionally, there's a bunch of shorter spans. And so in seismic retrofit, it makes it really expensive because you have to retrofit almost every span or foundation. So we're gonna be looking at options to replace some or all of the west approach in this first study. We're working with ODOT to get under contract for that. We're gonna evaluate some practical ways to improve traffic flow. And then ideally end with a preferred alternative in a refined cost range, and then we get into design and then bid opening and construction in 2033. So there'll be I think 2 or 3 years where there's no construction between phase 1 and phase 2.
Yeah, this is my contact info, it's that same QR code. Please do take advantage of it. It's not only good for this project, it's good for any state projects that we're doing, state highway projects that we're doing. You can sign up for particular areas, so if you just sign up for the Salem area, you're gonna get this project, any other projects that ODOT might be doing in the area. I'm signed up for quite a few areas to get updates. That is my personal info, it's everything short of my home address. Please feel free to call or email me. I really do try and be responsive, not an army deployment, I should get back to you within less than a week. And I actually genuinely appreciate the input. There has been a lot of opportunities on this project to incorporate input that I've gotten from people that have attended these presentations or other agencies that we've been working with. Particularly the emergency response group has given us a lot of good input that we've improved the project with, so yeah, genuinely want that input. And would like to make sure as many people know about the impacts the project's gonna have, because during some of those more heavy traffic impacts, we want to encourage people to maybe work from home if they can, or to take other modes of travel. Bicycles are great. But railroad bridge will continue to be open the whole time, so yeah, working downtown and it's a good way to get. That, other questions besides the ones we already answered?
All right, well, thank you, Andrew. That was excellent information.
Yeah.
So should we keep moving? Our next information report is about Bloomberg Carbon Collaborative Study.
Tori and I are having a disagreement. But I'll come up and talk to you anyway. I was hoping to make this kind of a more meaningful engagement opportunity, and I think that your time is a little bit more constrained than we can allow for that. So I will make sure you know how to find me. Tori will make sure you know how to find me. What I'm going to talk to you about today are 3 council and community conversations that are going on around downtown, in downtown. Your stuff, your things that you guys are doing has already been communicated among staff, so we're tracking, but we want to make sure you know. So I am, for the next question, I am the Assistant City Manager and Director of Strategy and Engagement. I started working here in 2005. Can you believe it? Okay, so that's me. Here are the topics at hand. So we want to make sure that you have awareness of safe, clean, and healthy. And let me just, anybody? No, safe, clean, and healthy. We started talking about it last summer. I know you do. We started talking about it last summer. We did a mid-year budget adjustment. That no bells. We'll talk about that. And then I want to talk about the downtown vision, which is something that we're just starting to do engagement on. I got a whole bunch of pretty copies. It opens up, and you guys on the sides can have some too. It opens up and you can see what we think we know today about how everybody shows up to participate in downtown and make a difference. It doesn't contain everything. In fact, it doesn't even include the last thing on the list, Bloomberg Carbon. Isn't that funny? So we can tell how draft it is, and we're open to input and engagement. So those are the 3 things I'm going to talk to you about. I'm assuming that you haven't really heard about the downtown vision yet. And I'm assuming that Bloomberg Carbon is probably something you're aware of, but not knowing about. Is that true?
Sure.
All right, so we're doing all 3. Ready? Okay. And when do you want me to stop talking?
After 1:30. So
But we have
I'll let you know.
other topics on the agenda.
Yeah, they'll be a little shorter.
Kara's never short.
Eric doesn't like chocolate.
All right, so we're gonna start here. And what I want you to know about this is that it's hard to read, but it starts the conversation. So everything has an origin story from this conversation. We were invited by the downtown business community, Main Street in particular, to start thinking about what's going on downtown. Why are we seeing so many challenges? You all are familiar with them. We were invited to start talking, it was June 18th, I think, because the 19th was a holiday. And I was late to a baseball game. So we talked in the morning, and then we had continued conversations. Those are kind of here on this graphic in the middle. It's not updated. We continue to talk with everyone and hear from everyone. But then in October,
first time ever, remember I started in 2005. First time ever we did a mid-year budget adjustment. Because we were getting so much good feedback about what the challenges were, and we thought we, the city, could start influencing some change. We already had the homeless services team from police were already in downtown. We added some budget to make them 7 days a week. We already had the clean team downtown. We added some budget to make them 7 days a week. And then we added a resource beginning in January of this 26th. We added the reach team, which I think everybody's kind of familiar about. So we were hearing there was a really big gap in the service that we were providing, and we were able to adjust. All of these things are pilots. We're really getting a lot smarter about trying and testing things and innovating and changing what we're doing instead of building full programs that we then fund forever. So we're trying to apply a solution quickly, learn from it, adapt, and then see if it's worth investing in the future. So that is generally what we did around Safe, Clean, and Healthy. So big council and community conversations resulting in budget changes. And then, this is from April 27th, the council meeting. And what we started to see, and it's for you, is that there's so much interest in downtown. There's a lot of different people trying to make change. A lot of different organizations. You all have a role, and you're on here. Can you please find yourselves the downtown advisory board? Excellent. Everybody is trying to make a difference. There were a couple different council motions that night on ambassador program and on activating the amphitheater. So lots of different ways to approach this same problem. What's going wrong with downtown? How can we support it? What can we do? And everybody's looking at their own opportunity. But we wanted to invite everybody to participate in a common vision. That's what this graphic does. That's what these engagements do. We're trying to fill it out, get more input and more awareness and understanding of how we're all showing up to make downtown a place. We'll come back to this one. I want to go to the nexus is that the vision at the very top, sorry, start it again. So the vision at the very top, downtown is safe, clean, public spaces are welcoming, sidewalks are busy, storefronts are active, housing options exist, and downtown is a source of pride. That vision, it gets its birth out of the Bloomberg Harvard work. So now I'm going to switch into Bloomberg Harvard. But you can see 3 pillars we're trying to achieve and how we think the city shows up, where we think there might already be gaps that we're hearing about. And again, constantly iterating, obviously Bloomberg Harvard should be on. So we'll do that next. All right, ready to, any questions before I launch into the Bloomberg Harvard? Okay, so I forgot to mention on Safe, Clean, and Healthy, the driving force of that is that everyone should feel safe, clean, and there should be a healthy environment for everyone. We started with a focus on downtown, but recognize and understand that Northeast has similar needs and interests. We're looking at the data that is driving this is calls for service to Willamette Valley Communication Center for police and fire callouts. We know that there are higher incidents of need in both Northeast and downtown. So that's where Safe and Healthy gets its origin story. And then we started with Bloomberg Harvard in October of 25, and we're now launching something in the Northeast that's called Northeast United. And they are rabid engagers. They've been to all of these places, meeting the community where they're at, learning and understanding what the problem feels like in Northeast, so that we're building a solution around how people are perceiving things in Northeast, not how the city is. Okay, yeah, go.
Is there a boundary on Northeast or is it?
That's part of the
city versus
conversation, Kirk. Totally part of it. Like, what does Northeast need? And how do I identify with Northeast? Because you all might have North Gateway or renewal boundary in your mind, because you're staring at it. Or maybe, yeah. But that's not necessarily what Northeast means to people. And so part of the question, which you can all participate in, the survey is going to close on Sunday. We've had it active, I think, for almost 2 months, but you can all participate if you want in the survey. Part of what the question is what is Northeast to you? And that will help drive and shape. I'm going to start talking about Bloomberg Harvard, so it'll make more sense. But that will help drive and shape the problem and the entry point for how we can start taking action, changing perceptions and the reality. Okay, so this is a big change from how you might expect the city to be talking and acting. The idea behind the Bloomberg-Harvard work, it's called cross collaboration. The idea is that you need a multiplicity of perspectives at the table to help shape your awareness and understanding of what people experience and how you're gonna act and what you're gonna do about it. And the way I shorthand that is, it's my experience when the city puts itself in the middle, everybody else stands back. And this is actually putting the community at the center. And having the community co-own problems and the action that you're gonna do. So this is a framework, comes out of Harvard, and it is what we are also doing in the Northeast. Okay, so a little bit theoretical, but super cool. I'm gonna step you through it. You have questions at any time, you should say. Some of it is kind of mystifying in that it is just the way, and some of it we're adapting for Salem because we've been learning as we've been going, and we think we know a little bit more about our community and how we work best. So here is Bloomberg-Harvard. Oh, there's everybody. So there's a timeline in a minute, but I just want you to know who's part of this. There's a core group of 7 people. There is myself and Brandon Ditto. He's the current chief of police. We were sent to go learn this and bring it back to everyone, so we make sure everybody knows what we're doing. You can also see there Roberto Garcia, who is a West Salem Neighborhood Association member, which is part of downtown. When you look at the data, given the way calls for service and crowds happen. He's also formerly Salem Leadership Foundation. Debbie Wells is Marion County, and she works in crisis, psychiatric crisis and mental health crisis. You can see Nicole Boots, who is our housing administrator. So you can see kind of the flavor of having a bunch of different perspectives around the table. Ty Carmen is there from Fire and was leading Reach at the time. And then I'm missing Tiffany Bolton, who is a downtown business owner. We were the only city of 15 who took business with us to this big convening. So we were already different. So here's the timeline quickly. Is it one of, so Bloomberg is a gift that will give you as much as you ask for. They invite new mayors to come and join a learning session, like what is it to be a mayor? They help new mayors, it's predicated on the idea that mayors are strong leaders, deliver, right? So they invite mayors in, they want to figure out what the problem is that the mayors want to try to focus on, and then they help shape the approach. Senior leaders get to go in August, and then in October, we said our problem is public safety. We said our problem is public safety in downtown. They came in October, we had a group of 30 assembled. Group of 30 is part of the magic. I don't know why it's 30, but that's what they say. Bring a group of 30 people together, a bunch of different perspectives, and you talk about the problem, spend a lot of time with the problem, and then you start navigating somewhat easy way to try to start making change, to get momentum and keep the ball. So there's a lot of homework. Go ahead. So I mentioned the group of 30. You're trying for this bunch of different perspectives. And we're doing the same thing in Northeast, a little bit different, but the same idea. Problem statement where we started is, could you jump ahead 2 slides for me, please, sir?
2 slides.
I'm ahead of you. Yes. I've already demonstrated that. So here's where we started. We were talking about the problem being focusing on behaviors, so highly visible and unpredictable behaviors are creating this perception that Salem's downtown is unsafe. And that perception is unchallenged. And so you can see our intent to start working together to change perceptions and focusing on safe, clean, and healthy. Yes, okay, you can hear the echo. Then you get really deep into it, which looks like terrible. This is part of the process. It's terrible. So essentially what you're doing is you're saying, this is the problem, and it's because there's fragmented dispatch and referral. It's because there is insufficient behavioral health capacity. It's because there's excess business and office space. It's because there are negative perceptions. It's because you just build this around, you build out the problem in detail. It's really hard for people to stay in the problem. Everybody really wants to start solving. And it's really hard. It's collectively painful, and we use the exercise with bonds. The next slide shows you generally the framework that is behind everything. It's about creating public value. It's actually a theory. There's a guy who wrote a book, even when I was in grad school, I read this book, so it's many, many years ago. It's very old. But it's about what is improving community well-being. It's at the center of it. You need certain authority to be able to convene the group. We are deriving that from the mayor or from the council. And then you need to build this collaboration, and you need to have some capacity to sustain the collaboration. Okay, really short and unfair. And then, because we started with that problem, they ask you to start creating a public value proposition. Why should I care? And I'll tell you that when we were doing this as a group, we started talking about pride for community. That's why we're doing this. And I don't know about, even saying that still gives me a little bit of goosebumps. It's not a thing that city people do. We don't focus on that kind of thing that's unattainable. We want to have a measurable result. We want to be able to deliver. It's really scary to start talking about changing feeling of pride. That's really hard, but together we can do it. So you can start to see the cleanliness. You can see some of the threads of the old problem, but you can start to see it changing towards the solution. And then we're going to start talking about an entry point. The next slide talks about an entry point. We ended up really driving on a community cleanliness campaign. You can probably see or notice a difference if you're downtown, I hope. Yes. Thank you for proud participation. So you can really start to see a difference. This was something that was a fairly quick and easy win for us because we already had the resources in downtown, us being the collaborative. We already had resources in downtown. We had nonprofit partners that wanted to participate. We had a lot of momentum, and it was an easy thing. Like, who could object to having downtown cleaner? And so it was a really easy, quick win. It starts to build momentum for the other solutions. If you want to go to the next thing, this is my favorite. This is the flipped fish. So you have the bad fish, the one where you're staring at the problem, and then you turn it around into a series of capabilities that you need to attain in order to make progress. And so it's all the same stuff. It's just positive and action oriented. And it starts to create a plan that everybody can start to buy in. So the next slide gives you a quick update on where we are right now. In June, we came back to our group of 30 and we said, here we are, there are 6 big things, no longer 7. By the way, there was a moment where we had 7. And we came back and we said, we're gonna organize around these 6 ideas. And where we are today is that we have everyone committed to supporting some part of that. And we're branching out and building more support in each of those areas so that we have the right groups at the table who can really start to make change. And I'm saying this as a collaboration member, not as a city person. The city has a role, but we're supporting the collaborative. And you can see we started over here on the right. You can see we started building more ideas into the scope of each of those problems, and we're not finished. So, okay, so now we have, this is the flipped fish. it's saying cleaning occurs regularly. That was the first thing that we want to try to achieve. It talks about where we are in terms of assessment, so the regular fish has a role here in starting assessment. And then we talked about who we think is already on board and willing and able to help. And then we have a couple of measures. And so you can really start to see this coalescing, right? Hopefully it does better than Backfish. And so we have 6 of these. So I'm just gonna go really quick. You guys have a copy of this, I'm sure, but would you mind, Cory? Messaging campaign. So we're really trying to drive a change in perspective. We're trying to encourage people to challenge some of the negative perceptions that are flying around in social media. We know that there are, this is not me, the city. We know collectively that there are some negative perceptions and they really just, nobody says, hey, wait a minute, that's not true. So we're trying to encourage that as well. Then we have a coordinating of dispatch and referral. This is a little bit more in the weeds for service delivery and the service net that comes around to support people who are in need. We understand that there's one of our organizations at the table has a new person who will be doing that job exclusively. So that's going to be really helpful as a resource to the team. Right space for the need on the housing continuum. This, you can see it starts to get heavier as you move away from the entry point. Some of these things are really challenging and will take more time. And we know that there's a way to have more of the resources available to people who are in need. We know that we can actually make the business and office spaces that are vacant full again. We know that that drives street traffic and we know that we can do a lot more there. I understand that urban development is already doing some work to figure out where and why the vacancies are occurring. And we have some expertise also around the table, but we're open and welcoming others if anyone wants to participate. And then the biggest one of all is getting more alignment between all of the government entities that are at the table or could or should be at the table to have more alignment so that we can really affect change and we're not calling for each other. You may have read the news that there's an intergovernmental agreement coming forward with the city and ODOT, and that's part of this idea. How can we help each other instead of being in the way? So those are the things that I wanted to make sure to talk about. I want to answer any questions, but if we have a little bit more time, I would love to hear any ideas or things that might be missing from vision. So Bloomberg Harvard is ongoing. We're doing it both in downtown and in Northeast. We're changing our language around it. We're using the framework, adapting it to other places. And it's really useful. So you have their cross-sector collaboration. That's code for using this framework to build more awareness around solutions. Okay, so anything you want to talk about Bloomberg Harvard, downtown vision, okay.
I'm so glad that safe, clean, and healthy action is in place. I've experienced about 2 years ago, my neighborhood formed Guardians of Gaiety Hill, which we clean the neighborhood once a month. And it's miraculous. So I'm so glad that city is doing that. I've seen it working really well. So, kudos.
I've certainly seen movement on it too. I think my commitment is really to be more proactive about the negative perceptions. I think it's easy to see things on social media and not respond necessarily. So I definitely will have that as a takeaway. Just to be more proactive about saying, oh, that's not right. It happens just downtown. So really, I rely on safety and security. And I have seen it.
One suggestion would be clean up, but can city find a ways to encourage business owners to keep their own places clean? I've noticed some business owners keep it very clean and some don't care. So I don't know if there's mechanism to encourage people to clean up.
I think to see the city take more responsibility, maybe for some of the larger cleanup like VCs and things like that. And maybe I would encourage businesses to, think about them.
Is there anybody else who wants to?
I'm just glad I'm here, just hearing this as well, because I kind of said with the vacant spaces, I'm very involved in that. As well as, we could look safe sidewalk passages with ADA requirements. One thing we did discuss heavily in the Human Rights Committee and the Disability Rights Task Force is that ADA only applies to a certain part of the town. And even with sidewalk and so forth in ADA, we did discuss like, we have like the bumps for light, that's an ADA feature. However, those bumps are actually a hindrance to somebody with a physical disability. So we've had people in wheelchairs actually falling out of their wheelchairs because of this. So some of the ADA applied access is actually causing a burden to other parts of the population. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that, and I'd recommend speaking with the Human Rights Commission on that. And there was a full presentation about that specific topic. And then also with the lack of tenancy, part of my own research was kind of researching that in general in the model itself. And a lot of that was based around psychological safety. So I think that safety level would help that requirement fill in those units as well. But there's a lot of just unsafe. I have people that I run groups in downtown Salem. And if we did a dinner, I've had 5 people not show up because they drove into downtown Salem, they circled the block a couple times, got anxiety. And so those are things that I focus on when it comes to safety and that psychological safety of just being present downtown.
Any other input? Okay,
Does this include the riverfront park activities as well?
should it not? Let's have that. Thank you.
Let's do it.
Anything else?
We can put this, beautiful vision together for downtown, and with the recent paid parking implemented. Have you seen that kind of play a part in this whole situation? Because I'm looking here, we have $1 million in tickets. So I mean, that's a little discouraging for, residents to every time they come down, they get ticketed or some sort of issue like that. I don't know, it's just-
Yeah, it was all happening around the same time. And most of the feedback that I was getting was from the people around the table. And their perceptions were that it was really challenging for business owners to be frontline communicators and not entertainers. That's the perception that was being shared with us. As a city person, I'll defer obviously to Dana. But what I would tell you is that one of the safety things that I didn't mention is that I think it's January, there are going to be two officer clean that is going to be downtown. And that I think is coming directly from this revenue source. So there are more things that we can do because of it. And yes, it has been challenging for some people to experience the change in parking. And it is having an impact where more spaces are available, which was the desired outcome.
Is this $1 million parking tickets or cameras too?
I don't think it's cameras.
I'm not sure that we have $1 million parking ticket. We
Must be cameras.
It says citations issued $1 million.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it.
But the parking fund is financing the community and the city tickets through, so it's contributing to those things.
And the parking tickets are not part of the downtown parking fund.
Right.
So parking tickets goes to general fund. It's not going to this part, so it's.
But I mean, seeing the revenue is great and bringing in those officers is gonna be huge
Yeah.
for the perception of downtown.
Yeah, for sure.
See this come from full circle, it's been big.
And just to, in case I wanna do my, there's a couple more topics, but just, part of the reason why we're doing all of this is because we're listening and we're hearing. Like, it's unusual, we're getting direct feedback. You know, that's so cool. And it's actionable because of the way we're positioning the city and our community to work together. It's actionable because we're listening no matter what. It's not like, oh, we can't hear you because we don't do that. We're listening because we know that somebody around the table can do it. And so that's the end goal, is really just to be open, aware, and then find the right place to have it happen, but not, you don't have to. Right? So that's what's so cool about this.
I think we all appreciate the efforts and the collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
And
So,
just another item, at the risk of talking too much.
oh, I did that. You're fine.
I think it would be very useful to enforce city code. And I'm thinking particularly, I live working downtown. One loud car with these mufflers can ruin the day for many people who sit in restaurants outside. So if we could enforce, and I think there's a code of loudness with cars and so forth, that can change significant perspective of downtown more than other items like not being clean. So that creates distress in kids, people with disabilities, autistic. I mean, imagine you're sitting in this loud car down where you close your ears. So.
Another thing for another day. All right, thanks everybody else. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we're up to Sarah Mountain Street. Da-da-da.
I always hate following Courtney because you have so much energy and happiness. It's amazing. So my name is Derek Gilbert. I'm part of the Salem Nature Association. I joined my fellow board member Ruben Garby. If you guys aren't familiar with our organization, we are all volunteer and all privately funded, just trying to make Salem better. Our strong belief is if we keep the heart of downtown strong, the rest of the city will thrive. So was asked to give you guys some updates on what we're working on in collaboration with the city and some of the other organizations. If I'm gonna kind of talk fast, so if you have any questions, please follow up later. First one, Downtown Dollars. Again, we're this program yet. We're trying to provide a really easy and replicable way to shop downtown. So it's a prepaid debit card that you can purchase. We've got a lot of retailers and restaurants on downtown that are on board. So people want to have an easy way to, we're designing the website so you can see who's participating, get more interest. And if you want to help downtown, you can buy this Downtown Dollars. So if you don't want to shop at Sewell Suites, you can shop at Bridal Gallery or things like that. So it's just a system that's really, really easy and replicable as a way to try and support downtown financially. Ashley Riddle from the Holman Hotel is championing that program. It's on our website. If you have any questions, she'd be the best resource on that one. But check it out, like we're doing client appreciations right now for my business. We're buying Downtown Dollars. Let's be part of our downtown, help them thrive. The other one, the Downtown Social Hour, it's gonna be the third Thursday of every month. Hayal Rose, our board member, is championing that program. We're trying to find an easy way for people to come downtown, interact, not only support local business, but interact. Like one of our big beliefs also is connectivity will help make their thing go. So I think we've had 3 now. The first was at Encore, then we had one at Adobe, W Wallace, and Masonry. And we've got one coming up the next third Thursday next month, 4:30 to 6:30. If you're not following us on social media or look at our website, we're trying to get as much word as possible. If other restaurants want to participate, we are talking to a few of them downtown, trying to move things around and spread the love. So again, come downtown, hang out, and then the hope is that not only people connect and have a quick drink, they stay downtown and have dinner at some of our amazing restaurants that we enjoy downtown. Pressure washing, Courtney talked about this briefly. We started doing that last fall. Anybody knows there is no leaves downtown over the winter time? Just doing little things like that. They're kind of like Courtney alluded to with safe, clean, and healthy. How do we make it just look more visually appealing? Because that really does entice things. If you come downtown and it looks cleaner, that kind of help offsets that stereotype that we're trying to offset every day. So we did it in the fall, we did it in the spring. We do it as needed because we've gotten occasional calls from business owners that have had some unfortunate events in front of their shop. So we're going to do that, help there where we can. And then we'll come back and do it again in the fall when we drop. The other one that's kind of one of my fun things is the downtown stakeholders meetings. I started about a year ago, we called them the State of the Union, not for a few politicals, now we're calling it downtown stakeholders. So we're on roughly a 2-month cadence right now. I'm targeting the 3rd week in August for the next one. The design and goal of those is to create a constructive forum where we can open up doors with city leadership, elected officials, and stakeholders in downtown. People that live and work down here, own buildings. The biggest goal for that, aside from connectivity and media, was to reduce the Facebook stuff. You know, what's actually happening, what's actually being said, what's actually happening. And it's been really healthy. So we generally invite somebody from the city, whether that's the police chief, the fire chief, the city manager. We'll have some nonprofits that serve in some of these various areas of need. And there's up and coming. You know, we had ODOT there last month. We had the Schroeder Brothers Project, folks come. So if you guys want to participate in that, have feedback, I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm just trying to help. And so if you guys have constructive feedback, we're trying to keep those on 2-month cadence. And I will say, I do firmly believe that's been kind of the catalyst for some of the positive action that we're seeing, not trying to take credit, but you know, the very first one that we did up in the Elsinore, one of the ladies from them got up and gave an extremely vulnerable testimony. And I think it was a huge eye opener that yes, it's a fiscal issue, it's an economic issue, but there's a real human component of a lot of these challenges that we face that was really, really eye opening. So if you know, I know Dab is on the email list for that. If not, let me know. We do really want to work on a more healthy partnership with Main Street and the Downtown Advisory because we're doing very, very similar things there. So I do fail on getting the word out sometime, but we'll try and make sure that you guys, I know that the Courtney is on the list, or I think you're on the list. So please help me spread the word because I don't always get the word out as effectively as I should. But they're not private. Getting downtown stakeholders is the theme. So really that's all of Salem, but we're trying to focus on those that are more deeply invested in downtown. And holiday events. We've been planning for those since right the day after the last parade. I'm thrilled that Ruben's here. Ruben took over the lights for us downtown. This is me my last year running the parade. Andrew McCurry has stepped up so that I can move in more of an oversight role on that. The parade will be Black Friday. Again, that's going to be kind of our day in perpetuity unless there's a reason to change it. We're striving to make it more consistent and predictable so people can plan on it. There's been, like I said, Ruben and I are here. There are so many people that are here behind the scenes working diligently on all these things. So don't give us the credit because there's a lot of cooler people than us. But we're super excited. Believe it or not, it's gonna be the 5th year of the parade coming back. So we're grateful now that we've got a more consistent route, a consistent day. One thing we're really trying to connect the dots on is it makes my Clark Griswold heart happy to see all the lights and the parade. We are really trying to connect the dots because we've heard from retailers and some businesses, it's actually kind of a net negative for them just because of the flow of how things work. So if you got feedback on how to make it, because one, we want to make downtown feel like a living room, but really we want to make downtown thrive economically as well. And so we're really looking for ideas on how to make it not just warm and fuzzy, but really how to help drive business and participation downtown. Last but not least, the flower baskets. This was a fun one. So you guys have probably seen those hung up. Again, I get to talk about it. So many people work their butts off to make this happen. That was very intentionally designed not to only beautify downtown, but we have a partnership with Isaac's Room on that. So the people you see watering the baskets are Ike Quest kids and Isaac's Room kids. You know, my pie in the sky vision is if we're going to fix the long-term solution, it starts with the kids. So how do we not just beautify downtown, but do it in a way that creates that long-term investment and the long-term solution? It warmed my heart. The first day the kids were out watering, Kelly Carlisle, who really helps on the Isaac's Room side, texted and said, "This is so cool. They're not only watering the baskets, they're interacting with people, they're picking up trash without being asked." So if you see what we've lovingly nicknamed the Bloom Buggy, the watering cart out there, please say thanks because it's a great project. I will be very transparent in that we act a little bit on faith on that. And so we're still trying to do a little fundraising to get that thing over the line. Because again, we got a little bit of help from the city and we're grateful for that. But we are definitely looking for some financial partners to help include the rest of this year for that. And we're debriefing on how to make it bigger and better for next year. I did get some questions, you know, as of yesterday, of why we didn't do certain blocks. Largely that was streetscape. We weren't able to hang baskets where we used streetscape was coming through. So that would be the north side of State Street and the west side of Liberty Street. We couldn't hang there just because construction in progress. So again, this is all volunteer. So if you guys have constructive feedback, want to help be a part of it. Main Street does our meetings the fourth Thursday of the month at 8:30 at my office at Anthem Wealth on top of the Forge. We have some great participation from the city in that. We'll try and get more Main Street people here to these meetings just to maintain that healthy dialogue. You guys are always welcome in our Main Street meetings for the same reason. Yeah, so with that, Ruben, did I miss anything?
You got it, covered it all.
I'm good talking fast. So yeah, any questions at all, like I said, check out our Main Street. Please follow us on social media. That's where we push out a lot of this content and things that we're working on. And we do really want to have that healthy collaboration with DAB so that we can all come together. So.
Guys, and one thing, so I do start putting up lights first weekend of November. We do both Saturdays and Sundays throughout November. So every weekend throughout November, and our goal is to put them on right before the parade. So if you guys have any interest, we usually do usually about 8 to noon in the morning. So if you have any interest in volunteering, you're welcome to talk to me or see our webpage. We always need help. We need ladders, we need bodies. So that's in November.
And parade volunteers.
Yeah, parade volunteers, and it takes normally, I mean, if we have 20 volunteers, a shift for lights, it goes a lot quicker. Ruben and I both breathe easier once the last set of light goes up because you just never know what you're gonna get. Our biggest goal with the parade is to make it safe, to do it safely. Conservative estimate is 60 volunteers. You know, we've been trying to piece things together, but you know, our biggest concern, and we're grateful for Chariots working with us because our first route involves some bus traffic. It scared the heck out of me. Salem Police has been a tremendous partner in helping ensure that event is as safe as possible. But like Angie said, I would easily take 70 volunteers and keep them busy. So the more hands that make light work, but please spread the word, let them know we're volunteer driven. We will trade sponsorship for bodies. Like obviously, because again, it's privately fundraised, dollars are amazing, we need them. But if people can't support financially and they can give us more people, we're trying to break the parade up into a setup during the event and then after the event. Groups are asking people to be down there for 10 hours. We can chunk it out in times based on people's availability. And so Salem Police and Salem Fire are huge in helping us pull that off, excuse me. Yeah, and Angie was one of the founders, so.
So are you?
Yeah.
Well done. Okay, so the next one we're gonna is safety, downtown pedestrian safety. Which is huge.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Paul. I'm the city traffic engineer. We've also got Eric Destival, who's the assistant city traffic engineer. And we are here to talk about the downtown bicycle and pedestrian safety study. So traffic engineering has been working on this study for a little over a year now of analysis and looking at existing conditions. So I want to take this opportunity to share with you a little bit about the goals, what we're hoping to achieve with this study, what we've learned through some of that work, and then what we're ultimately recommending for safety investments in the downtown area. Next slide. So the overarching goal of this is to look at ways to improve safety for people walking and biking in downtown, and we've got a couple of objectives under that. So the first one is aimed at reducing travel speeds in the study area. So we know whether you're walking, biking, or driving in a car, if speeds are lower and something bad does happen, the outcomes are less severe. We're also looking to implement low-cost treatments. So we have a number of capital projects that exceed millions of dollars and are going to take us a long time to get to. With this study, we really wanted to find things that we could implement quickly and within the existing infrastructure without having to wait, because unfortunately it often just takes too long to get the funds when we're looking at those larger investments. And then building on ongoing planning efforts. So there's been a lot of efforts in downtown to support it as mixed use and more walkable area. So we want to build on that. We're also working on our Safe Streets for All Safety Action Plan, which is looking at transportation safety citywide. So we want to make sure that while we're looking at this more specific area, which is what's shown there in the orange, we want to make sure we're aligning with efforts citywide to address safety. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of background on where this study came from. So it originated with a city council motion directing staff to look at ways to improve safety, walking and biking in downtown, and that was back in February 2024. It took us about a year to get through the contracting and the procurement process to get a project team on board to support with this work. But about this time last year, we kicked off some safety and traffic analysis. So that was looking at what's happening in downtown today, looking to identify some of our problem areas and our hotspots. And this summer, we're in the process of finalizing those recommendations, out sharing what we've learned with interested groups, and planning for implementation and evaluation over the next year. So before we dive into what we're recommending as part of this, I did just want to provide a little bit of context for some of the safety investments that we've already made in downtown. So a lot of the intersections in our downtown, we've already deployed what we call leading pedestrian intervals. So this is the head start that we're giving pedestrians at a traffic signal. So if you're sitting there, you'll see the crosswalk sign come on 3 seconds before vehicles get to the green light. And that's just giving pedestrians an opportunity to get out into the crosswalk, establish themselves, and make sure they're visible before vehicles start moving through the intersections. There have also been the addition of buffered bike lanes. So on High and Church Street, there was a new traffic signal added on Union, and that was really to facilitate bicycle and pedestrian connections to the Union Street Bridge. And then have also been working to remove some of those double turn lanes that exist in our downtown. Those can be very challenging for pedestrians and people riding bicycles. So a number of those have come out over the last several years. Slide. So we really started off this study by looking at what are some of the best practices, what do we know other cities are doing to address transportation safety in a cost-effective way, some of which we were already using, like the leading pedestrian intervals, and then also looking at what we need to expand. So considering the use of no turn on red restrictions and looking at how we may be able to use our downtown signal timing to actually encourage people to drive at safer speeds through downtown. Looking at bicycle progression, so we've made some investments for the bicycle network in downtown. How do we support that with signal timing as well as some additional signage that might make drivers more aware of people walking and biking. Just a quick note that the study area does include a number of ODOT facilities, and what that means for us is that they're really the agency that has jurisdiction over those streets. So we need to take our recommendations to them, and before we're going to be able to implement them, we need to have approval from ODOT. We have been engaging them throughout the process, so as we worked through that analysis, we shared findings with them and have also been coordinating with them on recommendations. So that we're, as we approach the end of this, we have agreement both from the city and ODOT in terms of what we'd like to see implemented on their facilities. But that is just one level of additional coordination required working in this area. Next slide, please. So one of the first pieces of analysis that we did was looking at crash data. And when we do this, we're looking at 5 years of crash data. That's data that we actually get from ODOT. And we're looking to identify hotspots or areas where we know that there have been a number of crashes, and in this particular case, focusing on crashes that involved bicyclists and pedestrians. So you can see there the ones, a couple on Commercial where we had a high number of crashes involving bicyclists at the intersection, and then the 2 in orange are where we identified pedestrian crashes. As we've been looking through the recommendations, we're not just relying on this reactive data, we're also looking at areas where we've heard concerns from people that it's challenging to cross or navigate, and also areas where we know there's high bicycle and pedestrian activity.
Next slide, please. So we have two sets of recommendations that are coming out of this effort, and the first is what we're calling kind of spot improvements, and these are really focused on specific intersections where we've identified the need to make some changes. So the purple dots there show 5 locations where we've identified the need to add enhanced warning signs. So those are the signs that you see that remind drivers to stop for pedestrians or yield to bicyclists. We're also looking to deploy no turn on red restrictions at 3 different locations, and those are signs that just get added to the signal that say don't turn on red. We did also consider another one that was at Liberty and Victory. We've heard a lot about that being a very challenging crossing for pedestrians. However, that was one, as you see there, it's an ODOT facility. There's a lot of queuing that happens at that intersection today, so that would actually be the left turn that we'd be looking to prohibit on red. It's a very high volume. There's about 600 vehicles that make that turn during the peak hour. And we already see the queuing in that intersection spill back. So ODOT was not ready to see us implement something that would make that worse, because once we have it start to spill back through multiple intersections, we're creating downstream safety concerns. However, this study has confirmed the need for improvements at that intersection, and through those conversations with ODOT, we are in agreement that we need to continue to look at what other solutions at that intersection may be. Unfortunately, they're likely outside the scope of low cost, so we need to work through ODOT, understand what they will find acceptable there, but they are committed to having those conversations and also to working with us on finding grant money to support larger scale changes at that intersection. So kind of taking a step up to the system level, the other change that we are looking to make is adjustments to our signal timing. So this is the main strategy that we're deploying to actually lower speeds within the downtown. And so on all the city streets there, which are shown in green, we are planning to change the signal timing to encourage drivers to drive at 20 miles per hour through downtown. So with these signal timing changes in place, if you're driving between 18 and 20 miles an hour through our downtown, you should experience a green light the entire way and not have to stop. The 2 exceptions to that for the city streets are Union and Chemeketa, and those we're actually going to progress at a slightly lower speed, and those are because those are our family-friendly bikeways. So we're going to progress those corridors at 15 miles an hour, which is considered a bikeable speed. So that if you're riding a bike, you will also hit that green wave and be able to continue through the downtown without stopping. For ODOT facilities, ODOT was amenable to us lowering the speeds by 5 miles per hour. So on the sections shown there in orange, that will be consistent, that'll be 20 miles per hour. For Front Street and the sections shown there in red, it'll be a little bit higher at 25 miles per hour. So overall, these are all investments that we believe are going to help us improve bicycle and pedestrian safety in downtown. As we've been working through the traffic analysis associated with this, we're also seeing that there are opportunities to decrease delay for vehicles traveling through downtown as well. And that's simply just by optimizing that signal timing and removing that need to stop as you're going through downtown. And that has some added benefits of reducing emissions, so cars aren't idling as much in our downtown area. And some real improvements to enhancing accessibility for everybody traveling to downtown. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
What did you say, Ben?
Oh, yes, thank you. So in terms of implementation, we are finalizing recommendations now, and that's going to lead into developing a plan for implementation on it. We want to make sure that we're implementing this once school's back in session, because that's when we tend to see our more normal traffic patterns. So we anticipate beginning that process in the fall. It will be a bit of a phased approach. Retiming all of those corridors in downtown will take some time. But we hope to have that in place by early next year. And then we also, as part of the study, plan to do some evaluation. So once that, those timing changes have been in place for a while, we will go out and gather some data to help us understand how well we're actually achieving those goals of being able to lower, travel speeds on the corridor. As well as doing some spot investigations and improvements for bicycle and pedestrian safety as well.
These streetlights, they have fixed timing, right?
Yes.
I always thought they have sensors to sense when there's a car, so it's very slow times. They don't.
Our downtown is operating all with fixed timing, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
Would
Other-
sensors help?
What was that?
Would sensors help with traffic flow?
A little bit, but we have to run, so we don't have any pedestrian buttons, so we have to run the ped phases every cycle. And then
Also, if
we,
you have sensors, you cannot have pedestrian.
well, we would need pedestrian buttons and vehicle sensors as well, so we need all that infrastructure in order to do
Okay.
fully
That's probably
actuated. And then I
expensive.
think the other issue would be pedestrians are used to not having to push a button, and then it's kind of like we took someone away by forcing them to push a button, so yeah, there's between trade-offs there.
Yeah, interesting.
Do we have time for the wraps?
So be quick. Wanna go?
Yeah. Mine's fairly quick, so a while ago you guys asked about wraps. So we installed the trash bins. I went through and found 3 pieces of art that is already city public art. And I thought, well, I didn't wanna do as many and get them mixed up with like chili box, so you know, it's recognize it, so I only want 1 art piece for the trash bins. And I thought you guys could select out of these 3 arts. What you guys like best, and that's what I'll go with.
I vote for number 2.
I vote for number 2 too.
I love number 3.
Got my pen and paper to write this down.
All in favor with 1.
Oh, I
Oh,
don't
that's
know
it.
mine. I don't think-
So you're 1, you got 1 for 1. Number 2,
2 for 2. Okay, you got 3.
3 for 2.
3 for 2, okay.
Is that
Okay.
fair? Okay.
That was 3. 1 for 3.
Nine for 3. 2 for 3.
2 for 3.
You guys are Picasso people, huh?
Yeah.
Looks like we got the 2.
Looks like Trinity still slide one, it's exciting.
I think I have Clifford in number 1.
I mean, that was fantastic. So I guess. Oh, yeah.
I know who the artist is, yeah.
Will it say who the
I can-
artist is?
My plan is to try to do something similar to utility after the kind of art.
What was the vote?
The
2.
Yeah, the winner was 2 from what I found.
While we have the entire group here, I just was curious, because I know in the budget, at the end of the year, we put together some funding for like beautification of the downtown area, and this is part of that. And then also, I thought we were talking about maybe putting up some flower baskets. And I know that Salem Main Street's actually taken that over completely, and I think they got a little bit of money from the city.
Very little. It looks like there's quite a gap though. He said the total cost of that project was 40.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well, and I just was curious why we wouldn't be using some of that budgeted money that we budgeted for those type of things to go to help Main Street cover those expenses.
So majority is on safety and security, and we'll look at it as we're going forward. So new infrastructure is getting put in as the streetscape's done, so we'll have water. So this is a matter of timing that and working with Main Street. So they were moving forward quicker and we were addressing the safety and security piece. So eventually we'll align, but that's what we were.
Was there
So
any,
the money that they did get did come from our budget, so that, and that was negotiated by Krishna. You know, the other thing is that all of the street trees and during streetscape, that wasn't, we also needed to pay for those to be cleaned up. And that came from that budget as well, so there's a little bit of like, how much of the beautification can we get done with the budget that we have, but yes. But we could certainly have a conversation and that's the leadership. There's a desire.
I was hoping that maybe if we had some leftover funds, we could maybe consider helping out Main Street with some of those.
Looks like the gap
Overages.
is about 3%.
So the gap was.
That's what Derek just said, yeah.
We definitely labor.
Right.
See if we can get some money, that's big return on investment.
Look into it.
We can at least take it out.
And that's the one I are gonna donate, right? Like.
Oh, that's true. That is the other
And
thing.
where are the
Here's-
banner link?
I would say the other thing is the city did help with the water for all the water tables. To be able to keep the baskets alive.
Yeah, I think it's as good as we get approaching budget, we talk beautification, timing, banners, all these things now that we're getting new lights infrastructure. So that could be the next few months.
The city was great with lights too.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think we just solved our next meeting.
There you go.
about it.
Two things. One, can you email us all the presentation?
Yeah, I think part of the minutes, so you have it in the presentation, you can have it as a packet next time.
And then this chart, can we change it so that all the cells actually have numbers?
Okay.
Is there, when the number gets too big, it's just, you know, kind of hashtag.
I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, it needs to be what, so if you just email that out to us.
You must be an architect.
Detail.
Okay, well, with that, are we going to go ahead and adjourn and see you in September?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, everyone.